world, we are so focused on the quarterly results, the monthly financial results, that we are always looking at the end result, which is usually some kind of financial KPI. What we lose is that if we don't manage the process, we cannot manage the outcome. So a good performance management system has to manage the mechanics of how value is generated in your company. And then it's all about putting in place a discipline to align efforts from top to bottom. That's it. There's nothing more to it. Performance management, when we talk to managers such as yourself, and I'm sure in your capacity as HR professional, you interact with many managers also. When you talk about doing, let's say, a fair, a just, and a value-adding appraisal, everybody's nodding. Everybody is in agreement with you. So it's understood, but how come it's not practiced? I think there's something innate in us that gets lazy about it, and we just want to do it. These are the small things that need to be done, but we just say that we live under this illusion that everyone knows what needs to be done, but that is not the case. So a company that does not have an effective performance management process in place lacks clarity and direction. The goals from the top level are cascaded down very poorly. And then there are wide-ranging complaints from employees about subjectivity. People are always unhappy about that how I'm better than XYZ and how come he's rated above me and so on and so forth. So there are always these types of complaints and negativity in the culture. And then to the management, performance reviews become more of a chore, more of an obligation than a value addition. So it is that obligatory exercise that HR is riding on their backs at the end of the year to complete, and they have to just somehow get through this to get over with it. Now, all of this negativity leads to, at the end of the day, a sole focus on organizational KPIs. So the executive suites have given up on HR because they seem to think that this process cannot be fixed. Employees will always complain. So the things that are quantifiable, the profit and the cost and the revenue numbers and the sales targets, these are the things that we are going to focus on because they translate directly into the bottom line. So what happens is when we do that, we are unable to manage the process, which is giving you all of those results. So as a result, there are always surprises with unintended outcomes. And the problem with financial metrics, the outcome metrics that are at the end of the quarter results, that they're always looking back. And you can't really go back in history and rewrite it. But if you don't have a good handle on the process, you can't manage what's coming ahead. So that's what your performance management system should be focused on. So where should we start? I think first and foremost, you need to do a simple assessment about where does your organization stand on the performance management learning curve. Do not get impressed by all the fancy case studies or all the complicated models that a consultant is pitching to you. You have to be very realistic in making an honest assessment about the learning curve of your managers and how much do they know and how mature they are in conducting this process. Then in light of that, try to construct a system that is simple. As simple as possible. Do not complicate it. And then you must train every manager starting from the top. So if it is a new process that you're introducing, make sure that the executive suite first understands what it's all about before you go to the subsequent layers and try to teach them how to do the performance management process right. And then number 4 is critical. Make no exceptions when you're enforcing them. The moment you start making exceptions here and there, you will lose the credibility. It has to be a process that is respected and people have trust and faith in it. And then you have to sell. As HR professionals, you have to sell the process at every single opportunity. If the opportunity does not come to you, ask for it. Ask from your head of HR or the executive that you report to, ask them to give you an opportunity to make a presentation to your management team. So you have to continue selling at every opportunity that you can get. What we have done at Bank Al-Falah, we have done something very simple. We have divided the performance appraisal in two parts. Part number one is what work needs to be done. Again, in the HR talk, we call it, thank you, we'll just keep it there. Thank you. I think I've regained my voice. The what part is what we also call in HR talk the SMART goals. And I'm not going to lecture you on SMART goals. I know everyone knows here. Even if Sohail is going to take a quiz after this, I'm sure everyone will ace it. So I know it sounds trite. It's nothing new, but it works really well. So no need to reinvent the wheel here. And the other part are the core competencies and behaviors. This is the how part. So I want you to sell X, Y widgets every month. I want you to produce, X, Y, and Z. This is the how part. And then what are those behaviors, those values that you're living, and how would you achieve those results is the how part of the equation. When you combine the two, that's your overall performance management process. So that's the foundation of the performance management system that we have built. So let's talk about the what part. What we have done, that we have given it a 70% weightage. And everybody has to write a minimum of 5 SMART goals and a maximum of 7. So we didn't want the goals to be too few or too many to manage. It has to be, this number made sense to us. If it doesn't make sense to you, you can always vary it. Competencies are the ones that we went through with the help of a consultant, an exhaustive process in which we involved the top management and the middle management, and we talked about the competencies that are applicable to every single individual in the organization. And we started with some 40-odd competencies. In the end, we settled on 6. And in the performance appraisal, we gave them a weightage of 30%. The other thing that we did, that we used to have, like most of the organizations, I'm sure, a 5-point rating scale from outstanding to unsatisfactory. And what we found out that most of the managers never really used the bottom 2 ratings at all. We used to have a bell curve which was never really enforced. So when we talked to the managers, they just said that it was too complicated and they did not have a clear idea about what exactly was the difference between somebody who is marginally satisfactory versus very good. There were too many differentiations, and they felt pressure from the employees to give them higher ratings. So we said, okay, we'll scrap it, and we'll come up with something which is a little more straightforward and simpler. So we said, okay, only 3 ratings: excelling, performing, and partially performing. Okay, we sort of sugar-coated the bottom line, the last rating. And then we also gave them bell curves that we are enforcing. So no more than 25% of the people can be excelling in the company, no more than 60% can be performing, and no more than 15% can be partially performing. And then for the first time, we really emphasize the definition of these ratings, that excelling means that you have to exceed